The Kentucky senator has been in the hospital for more than 3 weeks. The far-right activist Laura Loomer claimed in a viral online post that McConnell is officially brain dead.
Another day, another news story that makes our government look like a joke. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, your home for independent analysis on politics, media, the internet, culture, and more, really whatever I feel about, like yapping about in a given day. And yes, as you can probably tell, I'm not in my usual setup. I'm still working out of a hotel because I'm in New York City. I'm going to be on CNN Newsnight tonight, July 8th at 10 p.m. Eastern for some, I'm sure, spirited debates and conversations about what's the latest happenings in American politics. Not like anything controversial or consequential is going on, of course, so do tune in. I'll probably post some clips as well. But anyway, for this video, we're going to talk about something very serious that I think connects to a broader problem, and that is the mystery of what the heck is going on with this Republican senator who has been MIA for almost a month, and his absence threatens to derail the operations of our entire federal government, and we still don't even know if he's functioning or totally out of it or not. And he still hasn't resigned, even though he's 84 years old and has been struggling with his health for years. I always wish people the best, never wish them negative health, whether I agree or disagree. And that's certainly true for Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who we're talking about in this case. But the way his health has been handled is scandalous. We still have no idea what's going on. And DC is starting to panic because it could derail the entire operations of Congress. I'm going to explain it. First, here's some reporting on the situation from NBC News.
What is going on with Mitch McConnell?
EMS still response for cardiac arrest, 843.
The Kentucky senator has been in the hospital for more than 3 weeks, and his team hasn't disclosed why he was hospitalized or given details about his condition. The far-right activist Laura Loomer, who is known to promote conspiracy theories, claimed in a viral online post that McConnell is officially brain dead. But what we're hearing from Senate leadership contradicts that. A spokesperson for Senator John Thune tells us the Senate Majority Leader talked to McConnell by phone on Monday. A spokesperson for Senator John Barrasso says the Majority Whip spoke to McConnell on Tuesday. And the former McConnell aide, Scott Jennings, posted that he spoke to the senator on Tuesday morning for about 20 minutes. Still, Republican Senator Mike Lee said many of his colleagues aren't commenting on McConnell because they don't have information about his condition. Now, a McConnell spokesperson referred us on Tuesday to his prior statement that the senator continues to recover in the hospital, but they gave no timeline for when he's expected to return.
Oh, that's fine. This is fine. Just don't show up for weeks on end, be in the hospital, but you won't tell us why. 911 was called and apparently had to perform CPR on you. But you just go AWOL and just won't address what happened. Now, obviously, I wish him good health, I wish him a recovery, but he shouldn't be in the Senate. Think about it like this. If you were a waitress and you no call, no show for one shift, you might get fired for that. And honestly, I don't know that you could complain too much. Maybe there's some extenuating circumstances, but when you have a job, people rely on you and you got to show up or at least communicate honestly if you can't and be transparent about what's happening. But if you're a high-ranking elected official in Washington, D.C., responsible for allocating trillions of our hardworking tax dollars, of the hardworking taxpayers' dollars, you can just go AWOL for weeks with no explanation. How is that not a scandal? And it's not about him being a Republican or a Democrat. That doesn't matter here. We've seen similar situations with Democrats, like Senator Dianne Feinstein clung to office till 90 years old and died as a senator while still in office. Retire, people. Stop clinging on to your dying breath and past the point where you can't do the job and can't uphold to what your citizens and constituents expect. Why is that a hot take? Why is that like a lot to ask of people, that you don't just cling to power far beyond? It's so weird. Don't you want to just go spend time with your grandkids, enjoy your life a little bit at the end? What is it about this show that they're so addicted to in DC that they can't let it go? And with McConnell, it's really a big deal. And I'm going to explain why. But there's a couple points to be made here, but first I just want to read you guys a couple comments from the clip from NBC that I just shared with you that I think sum up how normal people feel about this. And again, it's not a partisan thing. One of the comments is, if I don't report to work 2 days in a row, I'm automatically terminated for abandonment. Meanwhile, senators are MIA for a month and still have a job? Question mark. Our government is nothing but a retirement home while funneling millions into their bank accounts. We need term limits. This is absolutely insane. I think a 30-day no-show should result in vacancy of the seat and a special election should occur. Now, I tend to agree that something like that should be the case, but it is not. And I also want to say that please don't read my, coverage of this as promoting or accepting as fact some of the outlandish claims perpetuated by the likes of Laura Loomer that he's brain dead. I don't know, and I don't trust those people. They've promoted lots of wrong claims and fake news in the past, so I don't view them as reliable sources. But clearly something serious is wrong with him, and he can't perform the job of a United States senator. So if these people are telling the truth who say that they've spoken with him, then that means he's of sound mind enough to sign a resignation letter. And frankly, he should have years ago when he started having health issues. And listen, as much as I disagree with a fair amount of it, I agree with some of the stuff he's done for sure. I've always had a lot of respect for Mitch McConnell as a political operator, not in like a morally endorsing him, but he has clearly over the years gotten done and been ruthless and defective in the Senate in a way that very few others have ever really done. I could say the same about Nancy Pelosi. She's, whatever you think of her, a shrewd operator and adept politically. So is Mitch McConnell. But the idea that these people can just cling to these seats and never have to give them up and just to their dying breath does such a disservice to their constituents and to the entire country. And that's why the point that it connects to for me is I'm a firm believer in the idea that we need a constitutional amendment to establish age maximums on these offices, because both the House and Representatives and the Senate and the presidency all have age minimums that are well above the age of adulthood. Like you have to be 25 to be a member of the House. You have to be 35 to be elected president. And that's, a valid prerequisite, I guess. And yes, it's like in some ways not fully democratic, but so be it. Why are we going to have minimums but not maximums? When arguably, in my opinion at least, there is more cause of concern that somebody who is 80 is not going to be able to do the job of a member of Congress than somebody who's 24 is not going to be able to do the job. If you ask me which one is more likely to struggle because of age-related issues, I certainly think it's the 80-year-old. And it's just not okay that we have such ancient, disproportionately ancient representatives. I mean, the average ages here in the Senate, the median age in the Senate is 64. The median age in the House is 57. Like, those are astonishing statistics. That puts them wildly out of touch with the country. And then we wonder why it just so happens that they're constantly taking taxpayer money, mostly from working age people, and redistributing it to the elderly and the who tend to be wealthier anyway through Medicare, through all these massive redistribution programs. Well, maybe it's because they're old, and it's also to some extent because old people are more likely to vote. That's just a fact, and it's kind of the fault of younger generations for not showing up to vote as much, or they'd probably be given more consideration by elected officials. But still, this is a serious scandal, and the reason it matters in particular for Senator Mitch McConnell to just be AWOL like this is because July 13th, the Senate comes back in session, and they've got a pretty brief period there before the August recess where they've got to pass the bills to fund the government for the next year. And he's on the Senate Appropriations Committee, which is deadlocked without him, even split. So the way that it works is when your party's in power, you get one more seat on the committee. So without him, it's an even split, and they're not going to be able to pass key legislation, all because this 84-year-old who's been having health issues for years wouldn't resign his seat. And if he were to resign his seat, all that would happen is, in some states, they do this thing where if a senator resigns before the end of their term, then the governor gets to appoint a replacement. We saw this with California a few years ago. And that's not how it works in Kentucky. They would have a special election, like a special election date that would be soon, and candidates would run, and who knows who would win, but at least it would be somebody who is with us and is able to show up to their job. And I think that's the bare minimum that the American people are owed. And we got to have a conversation about reining in this gerontocracy where these ancient people hijack our government and cling to power and then, yes, utilize it to benefit their generation at the expense of all the other generations, and then refuse to pass the torch. And that's fine. So we need to force them. And that probably means that we need a constitutional amendment to increase the age, to impose an age maximum on these positions. I'm not sure you should be able to be elected after 70 to any position, right? Because if there's a 6-year term and you're elected at 69, that would put you at about 75 for when you leave office. That's already kind of pushing it, honestly. Now, to be clear, there's like 80-year-olds who are sharp as a tack who could still totally do it. But it's about averages. There's also, 30-year-olds who would make great presidents. They're still not allowed to do so because it's about averages and it's about what you would expect. And when you have 84-year-olds going AWOL for weeks, when you have 90-year-olds dying in office, something is up beyond belief with our political system. And this story, to me, is a microcosm of that and isn't getting enough attention. And there's not enough pressure. Apparently, even President Trump doesn't really know what's going on with Mitch McConnell fully. It's a crazy, crazy situation. I am disturbed and to some extent outraged about it, especially if this ends up derailing the entire operation of Congress, all because of this bizarre situation. And what about these people who are sticking their neck out to say, I talked to Mitch McConnell and he's fine? That better be true. Because if they're lying and it turns out he was incapacitated this whole time and they lied from, at the request of his office or something, that'll be a stain on their credibility for life. Now, I don't know that, I'm not saying it is a lie. I don't know. It could well be true that they talked to him and he was somewhat alert, even if he is severely impaired. In that case, he's able to resign. Now, part of the problem here is there's no mechanism. Like, theoretically, if a senator went into a coma, there's no mechanism to actually have them be removed against their will that I'm aware of. Because like with the president, there's the 25th Amendment that allows you to remove someone incapacitated and then the VP is sworn in. You have to resign as a senator. And I'm not even, so he has to have some sort of mental capacity, togetherness to be able to do that. If he was, unconscious, he couldn't resign. But clearly he's not if they're talking to him and they're telling the truth. So then it's time to put pen to paper. It was time years ago, but the fact that this isn't already happening and we're not already getting, a special election together to get the people of Kentucky properly represented and to allow the federal government to actually do its business is a scandal, is a disgrace. And this is why people have no trust in government. It's like how normal people every day show up to their jobs and don't go AWOL for weeks at a time. And if they did, they'd be immediately fired. It's just not acceptable. I don't know why these politicians think they can just do whatever they want and get away with it. It's shocking and disgusting stuff. That's my take on it. But and shame on the people around him enabling this and his handlers who are just propping him up. It's a sick thing to do to someone. And it's very hypocritical for Republicans who were rightly critical of Joe Biden and his circle for doing something similar. A lot of y'all are suddenly quiet. A lot of y'all are suddenly not speaking up. Just saying. Anyway, guys, that's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you aren't subscribed yet. And do consider becoming a channel member to support my work. I'm an independent. I call it the left and the right. That's unfortunately not the best business model. It is easy to get big, easy to make a ton of money if you just pander to one side. I don't do that, so I do need support from viewers like you. Do become a channel member, hit the join button or the link in the description to support my work. And I also do videos where I react to member comments and answer member questions, so you'll get the chance to have your feedback featured in one of those if you join below, and then drop your thoughts in the comments section. Regardless, guys, that'll be it for today, and we'll be back with more real soon.